Why does the exact same amount of debt destroy one person's finances and build another person's fortune? It's not about who's smarter, and it's not about who has more willpower. By the end of this video, you'll understand the one question rich people ask before borrowing a single dollar. Hey, I'm Larry, a semi-retired electrician who's figured out simple money systems that actually work. And stick around until the end. I've got a free gift that'll help you spot these patterns in your own life. I spent years believing all debt was bad, until I realized wealthy people were using the exact same tool completely differently. There are 6 different ways of thinking about debt, and each one separates the people who build wealth with it from the people it eventually buries. We're going through every single one. Here's one wealthy business owners use every single day, and most people don't even realize it's a form of borrowing. Picture someone running a small shop. They order stock from a supplier, and shelves of product show up at their door. But they don't pay for any of it yet. The supplier gives them 30, 60, and sometimes 90 days before the bill is due. In the meantime, that person sells the stock, collects the cash from customers, and pays the supplier back using money that was never theirs to begin with. They're basically controlling resources they don't own yet, using someone else's patience as their capital. And the supplier is functioning like a lender, except nobody calls it a loan. Funny thing is, most people would never call that debt, but that's exactly what it is. You've probably done a smaller version of this yourself. A bill due before your paycheck lands, and you made it work anyway. Wealthy business owners just learn to do it on purpose, and at a bigger scale. Now, imagine buying a house and getting all your money back while still owning the house. Here's a common example. Someone buys a run-down property nobody wants. They put some of their own money down, borrow the rest, and spend a little more fixing it up. Once it's livable, the property is worth far more than what they put into it. So they go back to the bank, borrow against the new, higher value, pay off the original loan, and walk away with cash left over. Sometimes all of their original money back, and then some. The surprising part is they still own the house. But they just recycled their own money out of the deal and kept the asset standing there. And the best part is it's still working for them. When I first learned this, I honestly thought somebody was leaving out part of the story. But the risk didn't disappear, it just moved. The new loan is bigger, the payments are bigger, and none of it works if the property doesn't earn enough to cover it. Recycling your capital only works if what's underneath it can actually carry the weight. Have you ever wondered how billionaires live lavishly without ever selling their investments? Let's look at someone who owns assets that are climbing in value, whether it's a stock, a business, or a property. On paper, they're worth a fortune. But paper gains aren't taxed until you sell. So instead of selling, they borrow against what they own, using the assets themselves as collateral. This way, they get cash to live on without selling and triggering capital gains taxes at that point. And selling isn't the only way to access wealth. It's just the one everyone defaults to because it's the one everyone's taught. The people who avoid it aren't cheating. They're using a completely legal rule that rewards patience over liquidation. This probably isn't a strategy you'll use anytime soon. But once you understand it, you'll start noticing this same pattern everywhere, including in the next example, which is one you actually can use. So far, every strategy you've seen runs on the same fuel, and that fuel cuts both ways. When someone borrows against what they own to invest further, the lender is watching the value of that collateral. If it drops, they can be forced to put up more cash or more assets immediately, or the lender can sell the assets being used as collateral. Leverage amplifies whatever's already happening. When the return is positive, it builds wealth faster. When it turns negative, the losses grow just as fast, and sometimes faster than someone can react to. That's why the people who actually get rich with borrowed money spend as much time thinking about what could go wrong as they do chasing what could go right. The leverage isn't the strategy. Managing it is. This might be the only strategy in this video almost everyone watching could actually use by tonight. Some credit cards offer 18, 21, sometimes 24 months at 0% interest, and usually for a small upfront fee. And that's the whole mechanism from the first example about trade credit, just shrunk down to a size anyone can use. Say someone's carrying a balance on a card charging them a steep interest rate. They move that balance to a card offering 0% for a couple of years, pay the small transfer fee once, and from that point on, they're paying almost nothing to hold that same debt. The cost of the money just dropped dramatically, without them earning a single extra dollar. Of course, this only works if the balance actually gets paid off before that promotional rate expires. Otherwise, the regular rate kicks back in, and the savings disappear. But most people never think to ask whether the cost of their debt is negotiable. And it almost always is. This isn't some advanced strategy reserved for people with a financial advisor. It's a phone call, an application, and a few minutes of paperwork. This next one is the most overlooked of all 6, but it touches every single loan you'll ever take for the rest of your life. 2 people can walk into the same bank for the same loan and walk out with completely different rates, and not because of luck, but because of one number: their credit score. A slightly higher score can mean a meaningfully lower rate on a mortgage, a car, a business line of credit, and that gap compounds over years into real money. Being the kind of person banks want to lend money to isn't something you're born with. It's built through habits like paying on time and keeping balances low, tracked and improved over time, the same way any other skill gets built. Unlike picking the right investment or timing a market, this one's almost entirely in someone's own hands. It's the one lever everybody watching this can start pulling today, no matter where they're starting from. So here's the shift underneath all 6 of these. One thing I've learned is that wealthy people all seem to ask the same question: will this borrowed money earn more than it costs me to borrow it? And that's the entire game every time, no matter which of these 6 looks like it's being used. The people who get buried by debt aren't lacking intelligence or willpower. They've just never learned to ask that question. The people who build wealth with it aren't smarter or luckier. They just learn to ask it automatically, every single time, and before they ever sign anything. That's the actual skill here, not the size of the loan, not the interest rate, not even the specific mechanism. It's the habit of asking one question before the money moves. And like any habit, once you start asking it, you can't really stop noticing when other people don't. And that's the real pattern behind how rich people use debt. Not a flaw, just a way of thinking most people never learn. And once you notice these 6 patterns, something becomes obvious. Wealthy people don't avoid debt. They avoid expensive debt that doesn't produce a return. Everything else is simply another tool, used on purpose instead of out of fear. And that's not a talent, it's a habit anyone can build, starting with the very next loan, card, or bill that crosses your path. If this helped you see debt a little differently, hit like and subscribe. I break down real financial concepts like this every week. And drop a comment, which one of these 6 hit closest to home? I actually read every one. And check the description, you can download my free Good Debt Guide, including the 6 wealth-building patterns and a simple debt decision checklist. No strings attached. And if you're curious about the psychology of money, watch this video next. And remember, if this electrician can do it, so can you.